Hello, everyone. My name is Ken Masson. I am the co-president of the Rotary Club of World Disability Advocacy. We are a club that was formed about 4 years ago, and we're now in over 30 different countries around the world. We have members, over 70 members, and our focus is on the human rights for people with disabilities around the world. We do advocacy work for that. And today we have with us one of our fellow Rotarians who's taking on the project, a huge project of developing inclusive education summit, which we're going to have in October. So Sonia, welcome Sonia, Rotarian Sonia. Can you
Thank
tell us?
you.
Can you tell us a little bit
Thank
about
you.
yourself, Sonia?
Sure. Um, yes, thank you so much for having me on this interview. My name is Sonia Rajbans. I'm from Kenya, Africa. Very proud of that. So I'm basically an education consultant, but at heart, I'm a Montessorian. I believe that Montessori is more than just a curriculum. I believe it is an answer to many of the questions that I know Ken has on board for me today. So I work as a coach for teachers. I train teachers on differentiated learning, on team working, on grouping and thematic learning. I help with the national curriculum development, assessment developments nationally. I do consultations locally, nationally, and globally on various aspects of inclusive education. I also build learning teaching materials for children with disabilities, specifically blind and deaf children. And I love working for my community. I do everything that I can in order to create awareness about what we do in the Rotary Club through various networks. And at the same time, I am the national head of education in Kenya for the Sikh Council of Kenya. So community work is very much part and parcel of my daily life.
That makes you a good Rotarian because service above self, which you're doing a lot of that. So, and how did you get yourself
Thank you.
in the education field? What was your interest there?
It's so interesting. I was actually a sales executive for 10 years. And so I worked up the ranks. I got to the executive position. And suddenly I realized I don't want to be the person behind the phone, always negotiating prices, looking for market intelligence, creating unnecessary shortages and, all those dramas that go on. I really felt it wasn't something I could see myself doing for the next 20 years of my life. So one day I walked home and I told my husband, I said, you know what? I'm going into the teaching field. This is my passion. This is what I love doing. I rather babysit children than to babysit adults. And he said, you know what? Do what makes you happy because every day you come home, you're so frustrated. The
Hmm.
corporate world is not your thing. Let's just keep it as that. And
Hmm.
then, so a friend introduced me to Montessori. I didn't want to do the typical training in education, and I never have actually. I stuck to my diploma in Montessori, and that's what I have built myself from. I believe that when you've had a spiritual experience in your education, you just grow with it, and it grows with you. So that's how I got into education, and I guess.
Okay, so I'm going to take it a next step. So now we're looking at inclusive education. What is your interest there? And what can you first of all give us a little feeling? What is inclusive education?
So inclusive education is actually, as I said, to Montessorians, it's not a new concept because Maria Montessori was very keen on inclusivity at her time as well. So, to me, inclusivity means acceptance above all, including everyone regardless of their race, of their, backgrounds, abilities and disabilities, because we don't see any disability inclusivity. We see a different ability. So, my interest in inclusive education is being able to create an ecosystem for all the stakeholders where we all can thrive. Because a child, a learner in an inclusive education will only thrive when the people around the child are also thriving. So for me, inclusivity includes all the stakeholders um, in that ecosystem. They are heard. They have a place they can call home. They feel involved. They feel encouraged, and above all, they feel satisfied with what they're doing. So for me, inclusivity is a lot more than just education. It's transformation.
Very good. Very good answer. I'm looking forward to the rest of your answers then. Okay. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, let's go a little further. Okay. So now, you've taken on the task of, this is our second year. The club is going to be running inclusive education summit. When is that summit?
So we plan to do it on the 24th and 25th of October. The good thing is it's on Zoom, and the timing that we've picked up is the Eastern Daytime, which is working across the globe. It's very inclusive, let me put it that way. We make sure that we don't leave our brothers and sisters out, Australians and New Zealanders. So we definitely have tried to be as inclusive as we can for these 2 days. That is the 24th and 25th of October.
Okay, great. And people can register. What is the cost of the summit?
There's no cost
Excellent.
except for the internet that they will need, because it's going to be on Zoom, I believe, the platform, but there's no cost to register.
Okay, great. So, and I know we're not, registration. People can register for it. I know. I think this weekend we're going to be actually putting out that registration information so people can sign up. But until then, if they're interested, there's an email or something they can write to.
Yes, we have the club email for now that they can access. I believe our website from last year is still running. It's updated with all the information. We even have blogs on it now. So all the information is available there. However, if somebody still feels that they're not able to access our information, they can write to RotaryWDA@gmail.com. I believe it's on the screen, so everybody
Mhm.
can take a note of that.
Yeah, I just put it up. But like I said, we're finalizing the registration information. I anticipate it will be available this weekend, and we will be posting it everywhere on social media so people can do that. Okay, so that's super news that it's free. I mean, there's a ton of information there that's going to go on. And what is the Inclusive Education Summit? What is it all about? I mean, can you give us some feeling of what are the kind of topics that are going to be discussed there?
Yeah, so this is a bit of a unique summit. Let me begin by saying, well, when normally we attend inclusive education or any education related summit, it tends to be very academic in the sense that people who are already into special need education or inclusive education or integrated education for that matter are the ones who tend to, attend these summits. But this time, and this is what the summit's beauty is, that we want those whose voices have not been heard to come forward. So we want them to be part and parcel of the summit as participants, and as the guest speakers, the panelists from all over the world. So we will have some renowned speakers, some renowned organizations, which we cannot, for obvious reasons, cannot disclose names yet. But very soon we will be through our social media and posters. So we will have world recognized organizations coming on board. We will have people who have been advocating for inclusivity in various forms coming on board. We will have people who um, have looked at inclusivity in a different perspective. They will be coming on board. And what I love about the summit basically is that it bridges the gap between the Rotary world and the education world. That is what
Hmm.
I love the most about the summit. So these are Rotarians who are also coming on board, giving us their time, their resources, and their efforts, if I may put it that way, who are coming on board and helping us run the summit. Some of the topics that I think would interest some of the listeners is talking about the future of inclusivity, talking about AI in inclusivity, that's a hot topic, talking about mental health in inclusive education. As I said, it's about the ecosystem. So we are not leaving anyone behind from that ecosystem. Of course, when we look at the technical aspect of it, we have somebody who's going to talk about the universal design for learning, the UDL, um, how it impacts people in classrooms, how it affects learning in classrooms. We will have people coming on board from various policy making organizations who will have a roundtable discussion on how best we can include children with disabilities in our organizations without making them feel allow me to use the word alien, because a lot of the children tell us that yes, we have been provided for, but we always feel we're too special. We don't
Hmm.
feel like we're part and parcel of the classroom because we have to go for certain activities that does not include everybody. So how are we able to bridge those gaps? I think that is a very important discussion we're going to have at the summit.
Yeah, I know one of the things that interests me. I'm not an educator. I'm a coordinator. So my role is to help coordinate all the activities and stuff like that. But as I was educating myself and still will be, I noticed that we had a statistic that basically 90% of children with disabilities are not in school.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's that means basically when we talk about inclusive education in the school system, we're talking about 10% of the of the children. Also, the other statistic, which was interesting to me, that I think 3% of adults with disabilities are literate, which is another whole thing we can tackle in the future. But getting back to the 90%, we've kind of looked at that, right? And we've trying to start to look at how can we reach those 90%. Well, I mean, if you get where I'm going, do you know what is one of our solutions to that? I'm talking about homeschooling, basically.
I know, I know. I was just about to say that as much as we are so determined and so focused on solving each and every challenge that our people with disabilities face, the truth of the matter is that we cannot solve all the problems in the short time that we have on earth. But one of the strategies that we are using is homeschooling and hybrid learning, as you mentioned. I wanted to keep that as more of a surprise, but now that the cat is out of the bag, let's talk about that. Homeschooling is taking a lot of effect, not just in America, even in countries around Africa, around Asia are adopting and adapting to homeschooling. I think since COVID, I think it's just become quite obvious that this is very possible. So we we are trying to educate parents as well. In our scriptures, we say that parents are second to God and they're the first teachers of the children. So when we are able to empower the parents, they will automatically empower their children. So one of the solutions that we have come together, we've crafted together, let me put it that way, is talking about homeschooling and hybrid learning. Together with that, when you talk about 90% of the people who are suffering from some kind of a disability, I like calling it a different ability, um, there is a bigger challenge with that because some are visible disabilities and most are invisible disabilities. So when you talk about neurodivergent learners, they too, despite going through regular, curriculums or going to the best schools in the country, even in the continent for that matter, still cannot be accommodated in their classrooms. For me, that still is not inclusive. They're still excluded because they're not catered for in their classrooms. And when you talk about invisible disabilities, it can happen to a very regular looking child, and it can happen to a child is who has got some visible disability. This is a condition. It is something that you know it sort of, I don't want to say defines them, but it definitely does have an impact on who they are in essence. And when we ignore that, we ignore the whole truth about who this child is, and therefore we're not giving them an inclusive education anyway. So I think it goes way beyond what we normally call disabilities that are visible. So there are those that are invisible that we cannot ignore either.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to that session in particular for me. I'm looking forward to all of them, but last time in last October, we basically covered a general kind of topics, but this time you've taken it the next step and getting much more in-depth conversations about different aspects of inclusive education. Who do you think should be coming to this summit? What type of people should be coming?
I think for me, the ones that come to my mind immediately are teachers who are struggling in
Mm,
classes. As I said, when I coach teachers, when I do teacher training, um, I try making it as personalized as possible. And that is when the teachers would open up and tell me, Sonia, we're struggling. We're really struggling. Whether I go to a kindergarten school or I go to a university, the story remains the same. A kindergarten teacher and a lecturer both sit down and tell me, Sonia, we're struggling. Why are you struggling? We don't know how to help these children. We can see that they have challenges in their learning. They have challenges with their psychosocial aspects, and somewhere we feel like we're not doing justice to them in our classrooms. So
yeah.
for me, those teachers who are truly struggling, who don't know who to turn to, who probably have not understood the differences between special needs education, integrated education, and inclusive education, I think this would be a good forum for you to understand at least inclusive education, and then you can figure out the rest, because one way or the other we will be touching on those aspects. The other people that we want to join us in this summit are parents. As I said, for me, an education system is an ecosystem.
Mhm.
So when parents are left behind and forums become too technical and too academic, and the parents feel, oh my God, this is too much. I can't get this. If I can't get it, how will I help my child? You don't want the parent to feel, um, I'm not heard,
Mhm.
or nobody understands what I'm going through. This
Mhm.
summit is there to give them that hope, to tell them that we're here. We hear you. We see you. We know what you're going through and we want to help you. So, one of the things that we have actually, of course, credit goes to the co president himself. This is your initiative. We will be having ambassadors of inclusive education across the continents,
Mhm.
people who will be able to network and help parents or stakeholders network with each other so that we find global solutions to this challenge. So parents, we hear you, we see you, and we want you there. Then of course we have administrators. One of the things that our advisors and experts have continuously told us when we started to talk about the inclusive education summit this year, and they said administrators don't understand what inclusive education means.
Mhm.
Just providing a ramp, or having the main switches and doors labeled in braille does not really make it inclusive. Inclusivity also includes teacher training and continuous teacher training. It includes allowing a child to learn the way they can learn best, not the way they want to, because again, we're there to guide them. But they also need to understand that every learner cannot, you know, reach their expected levels every time. We have to give the children room to grow, room to, what's the word I'm looking for? Room for self reflection. So inclusivity goes beyond just policies, and it goes just beyond creating physical amenities. It's about the child. How does a child feel in your school? So the administrators need to come and hear this. And I'm hoping that we'll be having a children's group coming on board, telling us exactly what they want uh, for us to provide for more children like them, so that they can thrive and create for us solutions in the world. I believe that vocational training, which is again one of the topics, I'm really giving away a lot of information, Kenna. I don't know how many will be interested in looking at our posters after this, but yes, vocational training is one of the topics that we have in the summit. So yes, so everything is interconnected. Um, we want those people to come on board, job seekers. Another challenge we have is people don't know how to express themselves, how to you like I normally go and tell people, look, I'm an ADHD brain, and it is who I am, right? It is who
Yeah.
I am. This is how I function. These are the
Right.
challenges I have, and people appreciate that I'm so open about it.
Mhm.
And a lot of people open up and say, wow, you're really strong. You've really come and opened up and said, this is who you are. And I said, yeah, this is who I am. It defines an aspect of me. It doesn't define me fully. So if you
Mhm.
see me doing something out of the ordinary, just understand that this is how I function and give me my space. I'll figure it out eventually. And that's very empowering for me, and it's very empowering for the person who is working with me.
Mhm.
So we want those people to come on board as well. The other interesting aspect that I happened to find out just the other day, I was talking to somebody about inclusive education locally, and they said, you know what? Employers are struggling. Employers do not know how to train their staff members who may have had late diagnosis. And I found that so incredibly interesting. And I said, you know what, you have a point. Some of us, like I got diagnosed with ADHD in my late 30s. So all this time I was frustrating my bosses because I want things in a certain way. and they didn't know that this is a condition that I sort of have a challenge with. And so all it needed is just a little bit of understanding and accommodation. So I think also those people who are into trainings beyond school life, they too would be interested in this particular summit. And then, of course, we have the policymakers, we have media influencers, we have um, support staff, we have, by the way, there's another topic we have extracurricular activities in inclusive education. We want to promote sports, which we already do as a club, by the way. We have various of our Rotarians who are promoting football for the blind, for example. I believe there's somebody doing netball, or is it
There,
volleyball?
um, there is a volleyball, but there's more tennis. We have a blind tennis.
Tennis, yeah, for
Yeah,
the blind. Yes.
right.
So, what are those extracurricular activities that children who are labeled with disabilities, what are those different abilities that we can explore? Those are the kind of people we want to come, or we want them to join us in the summit. And of course, we are very open to have sponsors coming on board and saying, hey, we believe in you and we want to be part and parcel of this great summit because honestly, I think it's a great summit for anybody in the world who feels they do not understand inclusive education. This is your building block, basically.
Okay. So, and I was thinking also NGOs, of course, that are in the business
Yes, of course.
and want to better understand what's going on. One of the things, too, and we learned in the last summit was that there was a huge need for
Yes.
training of teachers on specifically inclusive education for children with disabilities. And so we're doing something in that area. What are we doing?
Yeah, yes, our experts and our advisors were very open about this particular challenge, saying that um, it's very hard for teachers to train on inclusivity because where do you start? And so we brainstormed about this quite a bit and thought about it, and we said, uh, what is one of the biggest challenges to inclusivity? Is first of all, learning disabilities is what we generally call them. Um, these are also known as invisible disabilities to an extent. They're also known as neurodivergent, aspects of learning. I know a lot of us say we don't want to label our children, and I totally agree with that. However, it is also important for us to acknowledge the reality. The fact that in some countries, some say 1 in 3 children are neurodivergent in a classroom, others say 1 in 2. So what does that tell us? Regardless, and then on top of that, 90% have not even come to schools around the world, which means there's a huge, huge percentage of people that we have not even accommodated. So we brainstormed about this quite a bit, and I must say we're so proud of one of our own members who's come forward. Um, I hope I'm allowed to openly talk about it, Ken, and disclose the information about who this company is and who the individual is.
Um, uh, it may not be good to get in too much detail because really need that person's permission to disclose information.
Yes,
But
we do.
you've kind
Okay,
of put a little mystery on all this, so that's good.
I have to keep it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'll keep it as mysterious as possible. But what I will talk about is the fact that the certification program that we have come up with it is a CPD certified 3 hour uh, training program for teachers who are training in the course to embrace neurodiversity, supporting special educational need in the classrooms with the focus on inclusion, understanding special education needs, and supporting learners. So I will repeat again, this
You
is a
can be.
CPD accredited certification, just 3 hours. It's an online training. It's self-paced. I love the fact that it is all about self-inquiry. I love the fact that you have to look back um, at what you're doing currently, what you've been doing, and then make a choice on how you're going to improve yourself as a teacher in the classroom. So, because it embraces neurodivergent learners in the classroom, it means those children that we have in the ratio of 1 to 2, 1 to 3 in the classroom, they will no longer be left out. Whether this is a regular classroom, it is an SEN classroom, or SNE as we call it here in Kenya, or it is a integrated classroom, it's inclusive. And this is a 3 hour program. I keep repeating that it is so difficult to come across a good training course that is so well paced.
Mhm.
It's something that is incredible because it's not too tasking on the teacher. Now, as much as Rotary is all about providing free services, and we really do advocate for that, and we
Mhm.
do try our level best to provide best services at the best price possible, and is in fact free of charge. However, I'm sure the teachers would appreciate that when you come across a CPD accredited um, training session like this one, certification comes at a cost. Though it is minimal, I believe it's only £40 and about $50 American dollars. Um, So in £40, 3 hours, you're certified. You understand what neurodivergent learners need from you as a teacher and how you can support them to the best of your ability in the classroom. And it's so empowering because I myself went through this training before I brought it forward to the board. And I must say, I found it so empowering. I took my time with it. I almost took a week because the 3 hours at one go was not possible with the busy schedule that I tend to have. But when I took my time, I really learned a lot about who I am as a teacher,
Mhm.
what my children expect of me, what my learners expect of me, and how best I can facilitate and empower them. For me, that is one of the best gifts I think I can give as a teacher is the fact that I am empowered and I can then empower my students. And of course, we do understand a lot of the feedback that we have got from some of our teachers who come from countries where £40 is still very expensive. We understand that and we respect that. And so we have come up with a new campaign where you can adopt a teacher. So this is all about becoming one big happy family
Mhm.
through the IE Summit. Is those teachers, those sponsors who go through this training and then can also sponsor another teacher. It can be done anonymous. You will have to fill in a form and give your consent to say that you would like to support a teacher to undergo this particular training. And so from there, any teacher who finds it difficult to pay the £40 can still have access through a Good Samaritan to this beautiful, beautiful training. And I must say, this is one of the highlights of the IA Summit for me personally, because I know it's changing lives around the world in classrooms. And that's the effect of the IE Summit for me. It has already started. The magic of Rotary and the magic of IE Summit 2025 has started.
Correct. I think you can mention the company rather than the individual. What's the name of the company that we're doing the training through?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, because I like giving credit where it's due. So this
Yeah.
is PAGS.
Yeah.
This is a UK company, PAGS. We will
Hmm.
share their details and their website. I believe we can do that on the live stream as well. And you can access their website and see the great work that they're doing around the world.
And a couple
Thank
other
you.
things too. And I will put up again in a minute the Rotary email, so people can write to us, and we'll get back to them and let them know exactly how they can register for it. But we have been promoting it on social media also. But gladly, if they write to the Rotary email, we will respond to them. But I mean, in this company,
Yes.
Two Pegs has been generous to us, and they're going to help support the club too through this training. So anybody who registers through the link that we've been promoting, they're going to give a donation to the club. To help support the causes of things, including more inclusive education projects that we can do on that. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is that it may be that a school would want to sponsor some of their teachers. I'm sure they can do that. I think that would add extra credibility to a school by saying that our teachers are certified in neurodiverse training, and that gives more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an extra marketing tool. Okay,
Yeah.
so
And sorry, I would also like to appeal to Rotary clubs around the world. We're not the only Rotary club that has the pillar of focus on education. You too have that pillar under your club, and we would like to ask the other Rotary clubs to also join us in this cause, and the schools that you're supporting.
mhm.
Enroll them for this particular training, for this particular summit as well, because it will benefit all of us collectively.
And once again, please write to us. I have the email up there again for any of the things that Sonia is talking about here that you want more information on. Then we'll be glad to provide that to you. And we are promoting again on social media. But if you're not seeing that, simply write to the club, and we'll get back to you on that. So, I mean, there's a few other things too we have going on. Do you remember them all?
Mhm.
Um,
If
we've
you can
got.
remind me.
Yes. So okay. So we've got a blog. We have a blog,
Yes.
and of which we have experts writing articles on that. Once again, we can promote that. We'll provide that information. We're in the process of very soon uh, putting out a podcast so people can get
Yes.
extra information on that. And we do have a website that people can get information on. And again, we'll be promoting that very soon. It's just in the process of being finalized at this point. Um, I mean, we're at the steps of doing a lot of promotion right at this moment. Um, and we, people, um, let me see how I'm trying to figure this out. So people can attend the summit. People can they be a part of it? Sonia, is still openings for that? I mean, there's openings. Maybe I don't know of any of the panelists. There's still some openings, but I'm thinking also that maybe they just want to volunteer and be a part of. It's a huge undergoing to do this for 2 days. So we certainly
Yeah.
people volunteering are much encouraged. Correct.
Yeah, correct. Ken, as you rightfully put, we're also trying to be as inclusive as possible, um, when we're talking about the summit, in terms of how we're marketing and how we are creating awareness, because that's part and parcel of our job, in the club. Now, we want more and more people to join us, because this is not just a 2 day event. It can't be. The 2 day event is just the highlight of the summit. There's so much we want to do after the summit as well. There's so much we want to do during the summit. There's so much that we're trying to do before the summit. So anybody that wants to join us is most welcome. Again, they just write to our Gmail account that is, you know, displayed on the screen. Um, we more or less have covered most of our areas of focus in terms of the summit topics, but the one that I'm really, really interested in is having teachers come on board and discuss the UDL in breakout rooms. We want the audience to participate, not just ask us questions, but also to be part and parcel of our live polls, to be part and parcel of our roundtable discussions. We would like people to write to us in advance, telling us what are the kind of challenges that they're facing when they are trying to implement inclusivity in the education systems. What are some of the things that they have discovered? You know, this is where we all come in together. We are all together in many ways in Rotary, because it doesn't limit us in the sense that we have opened this membership even to those who want to become friends of our Rotary Club. So you can just apply to be a friend of our Rotary Club, and you can just join us and then say, this is the service I'd like to provide, and this is how I would like to support. And then we can take it up from there. So yes, the more the merrier, definitely.
Excellent. Excellent. I mean, we're down to the last few minutes here.
Wow.
And yeah, it goes fast. Um, and yeah, and the webinar summit, I'm sorry, is going to be a big deal, a big thing, a very important thing. But we plan on doing like mini webinars after that on different subjects. There's so many subjects in inclusive education that you can't cover even in two
So
days.
many.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. It
no.
the vast number of topics we were talking about that are still on the table, but will not be at the summit, but it will be in future events. Um, so I just want to kind of conclude. Number one, again, give a little ad again for the club. We're the Rotary Club of World Disability Advocacy. We're a global club. We're again covering at this point more than 30 countries and growing every day. We have members, more than almost 80 members in our club that are working hard, and we're constantly focusing on our passion, which is people with disabilities. So if you're interested in getting more involved in the club, please write to us at the RotaryWDA at gmail.com. So let's kind of conclude all this. You've covered so
Mm-hmm.
much in this whole area, and I, and we touched upon it again. But we the more people that are passionate about this topic, the better. Um, and we have you put together a wonderful crew of people from all over the world, educators. They're fascinating people, have fascinating conversations on WhatsApp. So again, we welcome people to join us, and I know very much so, Sonia. The people that the people that are passionate about it, we definitely want them. Because there's some place for everybody. We have fundraising committees, we have technical committees, that day of that event, trying to put that organization so that everybody comes together and goes on stage at the right time. We need people to help us there. And any other thoughts on that before we close up here?
Yeah, I think when we talk about inclusivity, we cannot leave out the businesses and the organizations that support people with disabilities through various formats, whether it's trainings, whether it's providing accessibility, devices and things like that. Now, for any organization that comes on board with us and is able to support us financially, non-financially, resources, anything that they feel that would help the summit reach out to as many people as possible globally, we have a special section just for them in the summit timetable. We would be promoting their businesses and giving them the platform, a global platform, to promote what they do through a short video so that it reaches out to as many people as possible so that people can see what solutions are available to them. So, this is not just about doing um, good work or philanthropic work, but it's also about creating opportunities across the globe and across the board for everybody of us so that we're all included in this summit and beyond the summit.
Mhm.
So we are very keen on having Rotary clubs, other Rotary clubs joining us, other organizations joining us, and we do promise you one thing: we will give you good coverage on this particular platform. So we look forward to seeing you all joining us.
So thank you, Sonia. Thank you for all the good work you're doing on this. Thank you
Thank
for the children that you're going to change their lives through doing this. So much appreciated. So thank you for
thank
being
you.
here, and thank you. I continue to look forward to working with you. Take care.
Me too. Thank you for the guidance. Thank you so much again. Be blessed. Thank you.